Just gone 8 o'clock on this cold night in South Africa. You're with Prime News here on S3, coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios in Johannesburg. And these are the stories making headlines today. The Madlanga Commission was left with no choice but to postpone the testimony of MP Fadil Adams after he only submitted his statement last night. A blanket of snow has transformed parts of South Africa's eastern and southern regions, turning mountains and roads into winter landscapes.
Aged between 15 to 24 years, as well as those aged 25 to 34 years, continue to have the highest unemployment rates.
And the unemployment rate in South Africa has ticked up as Stats SA data shows a rate of 33.6% for the second quarter. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is Prime News, and in the next half an hour we will take you through the day's main events and later on that all-important look ahead to tomorrow's weather conditions. I'm Gustav Freiling, and with me in studio tonight is our sign language interpreter, Sinuvoyo Fitlani. You are very welcome and hopefully warm. Let's start with our lead story. The Madlanga Commission was left with no choice but to postpone the testimony of MP Fadil Adams after he only submitted his statement last night in response to a Rule 3 notice sent to him in October last year. Now, this did not stop the probe from forging ahead with the Investigative Directorate's handling of crime intelligence matters, which point to more red flags as the probe advances on this subject. This includes Police Minister Senzimkhulu allegedly providing IDAC with an incomplete report by the Inspector General of Intelligence and suspended IDAC Chief Investigator Dylan Perumal, described as golden.
The Commission's bench was less than pleased with MP Fadil Adams, who could not proceed with his testimony today after he only submitted a statement, which he received a Rule 3 notice for as early as October last year, at the 11th hour ahead of his appearance.
It seems to me that you are not taking this commission seriously. And starting from now and going forward, you should not treat this commission the way you have thus far, because every and anything you've said thus far is just totally unbelievable. I do not believe it.
The show went on as IDAC State Advocate Jushanta Ramsamy returned to the stand to lay out more details on Project Diversion, i.e. IDAC's investigations into crime intelligence.
As at 16 July 2025, he's saying that he still needs to fix the 28-1 in respect of the Mokwele matter, as per the ID.
Which then confirms that as of the 16th of July 2025, there was no 28-1 authorization for the Mokwele matter.
In addition, Police Minister Senzimkhulu's name creeps up again as Ramsamy testifies that Mkhulu had provided IDAC with an incomplete IGI report into crime intelligence.
Was Advocate Johnson, have you seen a 16 February 2025 referral?
No, and even on the 13th of May, there was no 27 referral. There was just the report that was bouncing between IDAC employees via WhatsApp.
The hearings continue. Kani Mapanga, SABC News, Pretoria.
A blanket of snow has transformed parts of South Africa's eastern and southern regions, turning mountains and roads into winter landscapes. But while the snow has drawn families outdoors to marvel at the unusual spectacle, it has also brought dangerous driving conditions, disrupted schooling and left communities battling freezing temperatures. From the Free State to KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern and Western Cape, our reporters have been tracking the impacts of the cold front.
Snow has covered parts of the Eastern Highlands in white, with roads becoming increasingly difficult to navigate.
We are humbly requesting our community around Teseng just to be cautious, particularly We know that there is a challenge of electricity here when the weather is like this.
In KwaZulu-Natal, the snow has transformed the Midlands into a winter wonderland.
It is very freezing here this afternoon, but as beach lovers, I think you tend to be nature lovers as well. So we heard there was snow and came all the way up to the Midlands.
For some communities in the Western Cape, however, the snow is far from a winter playground.
It's difficult for us to sleep when it's so cold and wet as we are sleeping in a shack. In the morning, we have to take out our wet clothes and let them hang outside.
The Eastern Cape Education Department has suspended classes in schools that are in the snow-affected areas.
This snowfall has affected our businesses in a great deal because we could not transport learners to school and we are losing a lot.
Meanwhile, in Gauteng, residents of an informal settlement in Coronationville have resorted to using braziers as cold temperatures grip the country.
We are trying to keep warm by doing mbaula. We put some woods inside the tin there, as you can see.
Prabashni Mudli, SABC News, Johannesburg.
The unemployment rate in South Africa has ticked up. Stats SA data shows that the unemployment rate rose to 33.6% in the second quarter. And that's a 0.9 percentage point increase compared to the first quarter. The number of unemployed now stands at 8.5 million. That's up 345,000 between April and the end of June.
The largest decreases in employment were recorded in community services and social services, showing a decline in government sector jobs. Construction sector jobs were down by over 100,000, transport around 30,000, and the private household sector saw 28,000 job losses. While unemployment increased in the period, the youth continued to bear the brunt of it.
Youth aged between 15 to 24 years, as well as those aged 25 to 34 years, continue to have the highest unemployment rates, sitting at 62.8% and 41.8% respectively.
Some economists suggest the higher unemployment figure was inevitable.
When we look at the employment figures, we also knew that the second and third quarter of the year, given the issues that we're seeing in the Strait of Hormuz and the impact it is having on economic growth rates around the world, were going to be tough economic quarters. And in light of that, so would you see the impact coming through on the job side.
While structural reforms have been taking shape in the energy and logistics space, albeit at a slow pace, economists say the country's structurally high unemployment will take some time to resolve.
What is particularly disappointing at the moment is to witness the deindustrialization of the South African economy gaining momentum. We saw in these latest employment figures that employment in the manufacturing sector, for example, has fallen by 6% over the past year.
Nompumelelo Siziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.
When we come back, Northwest Police say investigations are continuing after a cave-in killed 14 illegal miners at a disused dumping site in Kaneng near Rustenburg. This and more when we return. Welcome back. Northwest Police say investigations are ongoing after a cave-in accident killed 14 illegal miners at a disused dumping site in Kaneng near Rustenburg. Now, police are also searching for any other miners who may be trapped. 8 others were hospitalized and 3 others have since been discharged and arrested.
Police investigations continue at the scene following this fatal and tragic incident.
14 male persons died as a result of a mine heap that caved in. The identity of those 14 African males have not yet been established. Further to that, 8 were injured. 5 of them received medical treatment, and 3 were released upon receiving medical treatment. The 3 that was relieved, in actual fact, all 8 of them are Lesotho nationals.
While the remains of the 14 deceased have been retrieved, it is suspected that there may be other victims unaccounted for.
I can also confirm that as we speak, the South African Police Service is still deploying specialized resources like our search and rescue dogs and specialized equipment to see if there is none that are still further trapped in, under this rubble.
Police say efforts to identify the 14 deceased are ongoing. Sintle Inglihihi, SABC News, Nkaneng.
The National Joint Operational and Intelligence Structure has provided an update on security and operational preparations for the 46th SADC Summit. The summit will be hosted at the International Convention Centre in Durban from the 17th of this month.
Anyone who seeks to threaten public safety, compromise the security of the summit or disrupt programs or events will be dealt with firmly and within the confines of the law. I can confirm that Durban is stable, secure, and ready to host 46th Ordinary SADC Summit. There are a number of activities and side events taking place during this period, including the rugby and soccer matches. Our security plan have taken all these events into consideration. The deployment is therefore not limited to summit venue. We have comprehensive plans covering the venue, accommodation, facilities, the routes, site events, public spaces, and other areas where delegates and visitors will be present.
Now, meanwhile, the meeting will focus on industrialization, infrastructure and agriculture as President Cyril Ramaphosa takes over as SADC chairperson.
The SADC region is at a crossroads. It seeks to accelerate the pace of industrialization and development of regional value chains as well as infrastructure rollout.
Continues to feel the harsh aftershocks of conflicts that disregard international law, weaken multilateralism, and inflict devastating humanitarian and economic consequences across the globe.
SADC remains a relatively stable region. However, there are hotspots such as the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo and the political crisis in Madagascar.
We reaffirmed a clear and collective position. SADC will remain actively engaged in Madagascar until our sister country restores constitutional order. We further committed that the reform process must be inclusive, time-bound and nationally owned.
The SADC Summit will be preceded by a number of events, including the SADC Public Lecture, Council of Ministers meeting and the summits of the Organ Troika on politics, defense and security cooperation. Khalihle Khumalo, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Welcome back. The SABC says it's ready to cover the upcoming local government elections despite funding challenges. The public broadcaster told Parliament's Communications and Digital Technologies Portfolio Committee that additional funding is needed to ensure it can deliver comprehensive and effective election coverage.
With the local government elections less than 3 months away, MPs want to know if the SABC is up to the task. SABC Group CEO Nomsa Jabedi outlined how the additional funding will plug gaps.
And the elections are on the 4th of November. And some of that requirement is a technology requirement in terms of capacitating our broadcasting capability. we will not be able to actually procure and deploy on time.
MPs heard how a recent submission for funding was rejected.
A submission of the Treasury memo, as we had the window period for the application, under the unforeseen and unavoidable, was submitted to the Office of the Minister.
MPs also questioned the explanation, pointing to the SABC's long-standing funding challenges and saying National Treasury has not done enough to address the broadcaster's financial pressures.
I do not understand why the SABC is being deliberately defunded, because the matter of elections and elections funding is not a new one.
Deputy Minister of Communications, Mondli Gungubele, said the late submissions should not be used as an excuse for withholding funding.
Whilst I do not disagree with the Minister in terms of the technical compliance, it doesn't change the fact that the SAB is in a crisis of funding.
The department says there is still an opportunity for the SABC to make its application for funding. Abra Barbia, SABC News, Parliament.
The Justice Department has announced 3 amendment bills for public comment, and the legislation relates to illegal mining, the legal fraternity, the administration of trusts and incitement to commit offences. Citizens are encouraged to review the bills and provide their feedback.
The Justice Department says its latest legislative program is aimed at transforming the legal system and ensuring laws keep pace with South Africa's constitutional democracy. 3 bills have now been released for public comment, targeting illicit mining, the legal profession, and the regulation of trusts.
Calling for public comments on 3 of them, and 1 which will be going into the National Assembly, and we thought it's important that we do this so that members of the public and our practitioners, but also those who are interested in these legislations, are able to follow.
The Legal Practice Amendment Bill seeks greater equality within the legal profession, including extending rights of appearance and improving representation on governance structures.
Previously, there were differential standards of experience required for attorneys to appear in different courts of our country.
The Trust Administration Amendment Bill aims to strengthen transparency and accountability in the management of trusts, while closing loopholes that could facilitate money laundering and the misuse of trust property.
This new legislation is not intended to restrict freedom of expression, because that is guaranteed in the Constitution, but it draws a very fine line between the criminality and those offences that are caused as a result of instigation.
Offences Timo, SABC News, Pretoria.
And now, time for that very important weather forecast to see how long this cold will last. Lehlonolo is standing by at the weather desk. All the details.
Good evening and a warm welcome to the weather desk. We're still expecting isolated to a scattered chance of rain and showers over the eastern parts of the country, with the 80% chance expected across most parts of Mpumalanga into the coastal areas of the Eastern Cape. Now for tomorrow, we're still expecting that 30% chance of rain and showers to stretch over most parts of the eastern areas of the northwest into Gauteng, Mpumalanga, as well as covering the eastern parts of Limpopo. If you'll be along the coastal areas, the east coast to be exact, in the southmost parts of South Africa, we're expecting a 60% chance of rain that will stretch into the central and the western interior of KwaZulu-Natal. Snow is still possible along the high-lying areas of the Eastern Cape into the extreme western parts of KwaZulu-Natal. We're still expecting weather warnings across most parts of the western areas tonight. Damaging winds are expected over the western areas of the Northern Cape, with some damaging winds across the south coast, which may result in navigation at sea to be difficult. We still have another warning of damaging winds and waves along the east coast, which may result in navigation at sea to be difficult. Over most parts of the high-lying areas of KwaZulu-Natal into the northeastern parts of the Free State, it is a yellow level 2 warning of disruptive snow, so do take caution around those areas. For tomorrow, damaging winds are expected over the western parts of the Northern Cape as well as along the south coast, which may result in navigation to be difficult. It will be cold early morning tomorrow, with Pretoria expected to reach a minimum of 6 degrees, 3 in Johannesburg. If you're in Vryburg, expect a minimum of 7 degrees. Very cold in Bloemfontein with a minimum of 4. Into the southwestern parts, Sutherland will reach a minimum of 3. If you're in Calvinia, expect expect a minimum of 6 degrees. Cold temperatures are still expected for the central and the eastern parts for tomorrow. Pretoria peaking at a maximum of 14 degrees. 17 is a maximum in Polokwane. It will be cool in Musina with a maximum of 22 degrees. For the central parts, Bloemfontein will be cold at a maximum of 15 degrees. For Thursday, we're expecting partly cloudy conditions for the central as well as the eastern parts of the country. That 30% chance of rain and showers is expected along the coastal areas of KwaZulu-Natal into the adjacent interior. However, if you'll be in the northeastern parts, expect some drizzle along the escarpments of Limpopo as well as into the lowveld of Mpumalanga. And that's it from our weather. Do stay tuned.
And that's Prime News for Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow evening we are on at the earlier time of 6 o'clock due to the WAFCON coverage here on S3. In the meantime, please stay warm. From myself and Sinivuyo, good night.